All right, David, I'd like to say that you look fantastic
Thank you.
in your new setup.
New mic, new camera,
New mic, new camera. We're going big time.
big time.
Hey, so a lot of stuff happening in the world right now. We're doing talks. We're doing talks with God, about God, in God, and right now in the world, there's a lot of what seems like power plays to get power and to dominate. And my question for you is, what do you think God would have to say about that? I mean, this brings up the left and the right hand paths. This brings out the belief of the anarchist, which believes that no one has a right to dominate another. Uh, you know,
Right.
how do we live in a world where it seems super clear that powers that be want to dominate?
So we got a short session today, right? And you're going
Short
to ask me.
session. That's right.
you're
I'm gonna cut you off.
I'll just say he's happy about it. Okay.
Done.
No,
Okay.
well, so you got to understand. All the great religions of the world talk about end times, end of a cycle, right? Golden age coming. So that's we're at the end of a triple cycle. So it's a grand end of a grand cycle. I believe what the Christian Bible refers to end times, right? And the Hopis talk about it, and the Mayans talk about it, and all that. And what it is the Earth has been uh, third grade. Okay, so third density planet. Third density planet is that's where you're choosing, for lack of a better term, choosing between good and evil, or the left hand path and the right hand path, or service to others or service to self. And that's third grade, third density class. That's the lesson being taught, right? So this is, you could say, the final exam is on the desk for everyone,
Hmm.
right? So there'll be a very, very small number that pass to the left-hand path, service to self, because according to the law of one, it's like you got to have like 92% or something service to self to pass.
95. Yeah.
95, yeah. So it's really, really high bar. It's not
Almost
easy,
entirely. Yeah.
right? And I'll refer people to the latest Marvel movie, the Endgame, where you have this guy Thanos, who is trying to kill half the universe because he thinks it'll be better for everybody, and he
Yeah.
even has to kill the one daughter that he really, really loves. So I mean, so that's the left-hand
Yeah.
path.
And his intention, would you say his intention is actually good, even though he's killing half the
Well, yeah.
universe?
The only thing is, I think though, a more accurate, if it really was depicting accurately left-hand path, the intention is to gain more and more power for yourself,
Yeah. So he's
right?
not even a good left-hand path
Nah, he
example.
probably wouldn't graduate.
I mean, because the law of one talks about how Hitler didn't make the cut.
No, he didn't make the cut. No, it's a high bar,
It's a hard
and
thing to be
you
that
really have
selfish,
to
heartless.
you really have to be very, very disciplined in uh serving yourself as far as accumulating power. You really have to be very, very disciplined, and you
At
can't
the expense of others too, right? I
at the
mean,
expense of others. And even if you have some love for others, you might have to
that de-
sacrifice them.
that depolarizes you.
Yeah,
So
right.
so let's go back, because you mentioned the left hand versus the right hand
Well,
path
let's
and
let's go to the
graduation.
right hand path.
Well, what does this graduation mean though?
So the
Let's touch on that.
graduation is, in my understanding, so you graduate to left hand path, 95% service to self, right? Right hand path is, I think, at least 51%
Yeah,
service to others. So I mean, they curve the grade for us soft-hearted people.
it's
It's just
wonderful, making
the
it
nature of
easy.
serving others tends to just accumulate uh, uh, polarity of its own. Just because as you become more loving and caring for other people, it just takes a momentum of its own that carries it
Yeah.
forward.
Well,
So
before you move on, that 51% seems easy, but the majority of humans over the last 75,000 years haven't made the cut. So it's not as easy as it might think.
yeah, no, I mean, when I first heard that, I go, no problem. Right. But then it came to me. I don't know if it was from my high self or God or what. So, okay. So let's just say graduating to the right hand path, you move to fourth density where basically everybody's loving people. They're good people. And there's no more killing each other and all that. It's just really being surrounded by loving, good people. And then we're all really working on becoming more and more loving. And so, I mean, it sounds pretty nice, right? And if you to a planet or staying on a planet that's pretty much devoid of the really good people because they all moved on. So if you think it stinks now, imagine if you have a planet where all the really good people are left. So it's like, okay, so all right, so far so good. Yeah, I'm with that. I'm off for the fourth density, right hand path. Okay, so if God asks you to stay and help with all those people that fail, would you be willing to stay?
That is the question. I mean, it sounds
Well,
like an easy thing, but
yeah, well, so say, okay, so you got a ticket to ride, you got a ticket to this gorgeous, beautiful golden age. But God says, listen, this place is going to be really, really bad if all the good people leave. Will you stay?
are you asking me?
Yeah.
Well, I think we're
You
already
don't have to
here.
answer that. You
We're
don't have
already
to.
here, right?
But I
Like,
I realized if you just have to be 51% service to others, how would you answer that question?
so
If
to
you're
graduate,
51%, if you make the cut, you're 51% service to others, how would you answer that question?
will I stay?
Yeah.
Well, I think it could go either way at that point.
No. If it's 51%, you go, damn it. All right. If you're 98% service, yeah, of course I'm staying. You're not going to leave all these people behind. 50-50, it's like, yeah, I don't think so. 51% is, oh, God. Okay.
So you think it's an accumulative kind of presence and
No,
awareness
I'm
that you have
saying
at all times.
if you're 51% service to others, you'd answer that question if and I'm not just saying answer to impress people, but if you truly had to make that choice, you would stay. So that's so, up until that point, it's like I'm not staying. So
Yeah.
if that's my answer, guess what? I'm not 51%.
Well, what about wisdom? When you bring in wisdom and it's just time to move on. I mean, what if
Is it wisdom or is it selfishness?
well, I wouldn't know
I
that, but
could be selfish and justify it in all kinds of wonderful ways.
I know you
That's
you
what I'm
certainly could.
saying. If you truly were 51%, you would stay. You would agree to stay anyway.
We're willing to.
Barely. You're just 1% willing to stay.
Yeah.
Because if it shift two degrees over to 52% service to self, you go, no, they kind of brought it on themselves. It's good for them. All the suffering is good for them. But I'm telling you, if you're 98% service to others, it would be no hesitation. You would insist on staying.
Well, and that's something else that the law of one talks about, how the universe, all these souls are entities. Oh, sorry, there's a jet over me.
Yeah.
All these entities are wanting to incarnate right now. They're
They're
longing to because of all the catalysts. It's like
yeah,
this
but
is wonderful.
they're fourth density or above.
Yeah, I want to be here. So
Fourth density or above.
right,
That means they've already made that choice.
and they want to. It's a different perspective of wow, what a great opportunity to
Great
love and serve.
opportunity to love
Yeah,
and serve. Right.
yeah,
So this is what I'm saying. So the reason I didn't give that answer right away is because people could have answered in their own mind. And if they find themselves saying, there's no way I'm staying, it's like, guess what? You're not 51%.
I thought you were just trying to put me on the spot.
I'm putting everybody on the spot. If you're honestly can't wait to get the hell out of here, you're not leaving. You didn't pass.
Yeah, which
You
makes
get
sense.
you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, the
See
law
how
of one talks
clear
about it.
that is? So I don't care how wonderful you think you are. If when I ask that question, would you be willing to stay and help? And you go, hell no, you're nowhere close to 51%.
Yeah.
You're not close. That's what's so scary about that, because it's so easy in our own mind to BS ourselves and tell ourselves how wonderful we are and
Yes.
call to mind all the nice things we've done. But I'm telling you, if you answered that question, no, you're not graduating.
So then, I mean, I didn't plan on going down this, but it's interesting. What happens when you don't graduate? Because the Earth is
You got to
a fourth
repeat.
density planet now.
Yeah. Yeah. You got to leave. You got to leave.
Get the hell. So you,
People
as in,
are all three of our audience is going to be turning this off. Sorry, mom. Sorry, dad.
yeah.
Oh God.
So
Yeah,
you get a chance to do it again somewhere else, basically.
well, you're an immortal being. You're
Yeah.
an immortal being. This goes. My teacher said nobody's going to ever. No one's going to be lost. Nobody's going to be lost. Everybody makes it home. But is that the end of it? You make it home to God? Is that the end of it, or is that the end of one day?
Yeah, 1 second, one.
Yeah, that's one day. We went to the beach, and everybody comes home. It's like, well, what do you want to do tomorrow?
Yeah,
let's go mountain climbing. Okay, here we go. So I mean, this goes on forever. Shiva Shakti dancing, nature, spirit and nature dancing in unity forever.
Mm.
So yeah, don't worry about. My teacher. One of his sayings was, "Don't worry, be happy."
Mm-hmm. Profound.
Yeah, profound, right? So I went all the way to India, and I heard that. It's like, are you kidding me? I spent all this money, came to all this far to India for a bumper sticker.
Yeah.
Don't worry, be happy. Are you kidding me? But the more I started to understand what he was saying, the more I realized that just boils it down. Don't worry, you're an immortal being. You're a piece of an infinite loving creator that you cannot be lost from. And you've always existed, always will exist. And basically you're completely safe, that which is truly you cannot age, cannot be harmed, will exist forever. So once you buy into that, then what's left? Just be happy. Enjoy the adventure.
So let's bring it back down to being dominated by powers that be in lots of different ways, even over my own body, or it seems like my separate body. How would somebody be in the right-hand path or be happy in that?
Well, so that's the beauty of this particular time. It's like, when we practice push hands, right? It's a technique we practice, that you practice getting past your normal reaction of tensing up when somebody grabs you to push you or pull you, right? What's the answer? When you got somebody that's got a lot of power, what's the answer?
Non-resistance.
Yeah, relax even more.
Yeah.
Right. So the spiritual analogy of that is understand frequency. So when you practice holding high frequency, you're not just transmitting divinity into the world, but you're also receiving at that frequency. So when somebody is doing bad to you, it's like somebody pushing you in push hands. The natural reaction is to tense up. And then if he's stronger than you, he can just maul you. If you relax completely, even if he's strong, it wipes out his advantage. So it's the same thing. You tune into the frequency of divinity and just love and see that person as a piece of God playing his role in this divine drama that God has set up to be played out. So if you let your frequency slip into fear or resentment or anger, you're just going to get mauled right now.
Yeah, because you end up becoming that thing that you're resisting.
Well, you've lowered your frequency, and now you're broadcasting and receiving answers at that frequency. So it's like, well, the only thing I can do is just smash them in the face. What else am I going to do? Yell at them, cuss at them, get down in the mud with them, right? Yeah, because when you're at that frequency, that's really the only answers you're getting.
So what's the difference? What's the difference between that high frequency and non-resistance and like Gandhi, who was in peaceful non-compliance? I mean, it seems like it's kind of hard to differentiate that.
Well, so you have the external, and from the external, it might be hard to differentiate. But if you learn to attune to your own frequency, you notice a huge difference between when you're just suppressing your desire to smash them in the face, right? Which is you've dropped to a low frequency, and the answers that are coming to you, you're just trying to resist actually putting them into play, or raising your frequency to a higher frequency and seeing him as a piece of God doing his role. In which case, Baba says, when you start, basically, I'm paraphrasing, when you start to hold high frequency, you become very adventurous. Things that would normally scare you, you actually kind of look forward to as the challenge. It's like, oh, it's going to be kind of fun. So that's the difference. It's like when I would do hypnosis for people that were stuck, just really, really stuck, every answer they came up with was failing, and they just saw no way out, and they're just trapped. Whereas if you could quiet their conscious mind, bring them to a higher frequency, then a million answers come to mind. A million answers come to mind. And all of a sudden, it's not a problem anymore. I was like, that's not even a problem. It's the weirdest damn thing, but it's just a shift of frequency. It's like, okay, let's just say TV station. TV station is broadcasting at a frequency, right? But it's not just energy. If you have a television, you see, oh, there's a ton of information coming. Oh, it's a comedy, or it's a music show, or a drama. Information coming in on that frequency. And if you tune it in, that's what you're now watching. But it's the same thing with energetic frequency of human consciousness. Whatever frequency you're holding, you broadcast from that frequency. So if it's a low frequency and somebody's trying to dominate me, I'm tempted to punch him in the face or scream at him, right? And I could suppress that because I have some remembrance that that's not quite right, but you're still radiating that energy. You're not saying or doing, but it's being done and said at energetic level. Or you can raise your frequency and see him as a piece of God playing his role, and have some compassion for him as a lost soul or a soul on the left-hand path, and just love him, but resist him from that loving perspective. So that's the difference. It's always the internal state that determines the value of that action. Right. So you can have two people feeding homeless, one doing it with a loving heart, and he's gaining in polarity, and the other doing it because he's invited the newspaper to come and take pictures of him. In which case he's not gaining any positive polarity, maybe gaining some negative polarity. So they're both doing the same thing, but the frequency and tension determines the value.
Or completely neutralizing both acts.
Wow.
Okay, well, we got to wrap this up. So let's just say in our life, everything coming to us is what we require, or everything is an opportunity to forgive and accept or engage in loving service, so that we can polarize on the path that we've chosen. So it's all a gift. Would you say that?
So a couple other ways of saying it: everything that comes to you is from God for your highest good. Everything is an opportunity to love. Everything is a blessing. Those are all just variants of the same concept, that the infinite creator will not allow anything into your life that doesn't have the potential for helping you to move strongly in the right direction.
And it's more important on your frequency, which you can tell by how you feel. Would that be a good way to tell your frequency, your feelings?
Well, that's frequency. You experience as feelings.
Right.
Baba says he calls them high frequency, the right frequency. He calls them sacred feelings. So really, that's just a way of describing the right frequency. But we all know what a sacred frequency is: that feeling of love, that feeling of compassion, that feeling of joy, that feeling of peace. Those are high frequency consciousness, and it brings along with it feelings of joy, of peace, of happiness.
So find a way to keep that high frequency, and that's the goal. And almost, would you say what you do is almost secondary to that? Almost doesn't matter
in the beginning. For most human beings, it's the external thing, right? But after you grow a while and you're trying to do the right thing and you're just miserable about it, you realize, well, it's not just the external, it's the internal. So now you start to combine. So let's just say feeding the homeless. You learn to at least bring up a little compassion when you feed the homeless. And as you do that, you actually start to feel love for them. They start to feel like part of your family, and then they start to feel like part of you, right? And then as you start to understand that, then you can begin to realize that frequency is the whole thing.
Mm.
So then you could be cleaning the toilet, high frequency energy, and it becomes sacred. You could just be sitting quietly and just feeling high frequency and just enjoying the presence of God within you. And all that doesn't just stay right with you. That frequency radiates out into the world and helps shift human
Mhm.
consciousness to some degree.
And that still doesn't lead out if I'm still pissed off at the world and I hate them all. And yet I know I want to evolve. And so I force myself to do something good, even though I think they're a bunch of
Yeah,
idiots.
I think that's kind of a waste of time. Better off put a little effort into shifting your concept first.
I
Because if
mean,
you,
how about the intention of at least I want it? I don't know what to do. I'm going to try.
yeah, hear the Jets.
I do. They're over me too. We're close by.
Yes, God. Yes. Yeah, Baba has a saying that it took me a while to understand, that basically service without love is deplorable. Service with love is desirable. Love without service is divine. So I mean that basically saying, even if you're serving and there's no love, you're kind of, God is kind of disgusted at you, right? So one of the ways to for me anyway is just spend a few minutes every day looking around and seeing, contemplating the fact that this is all God. It's all God. It's all God. And by contemplating the oneness, it starts to purify your heart and you start to feel a little more connected. And when you start to feel a little more connected with others that you're serving, you can't help but feel a little bit of compassion for their suffering. And that's the beginning. That's the foot in the door. And then as you continue to see them as part of God and ultimately part of yourself, as your heart purifies, you begin to feel more and more connected. And so your heart grows. I mean, that's a whole thing there. Baba had something called the 5 human values, which are really kind of neat when you understand the dynamics of how they work to help you begin to awaken. So we could do that another time.
We'll do that another time for sure.
Yeah, but what I would say is practice frequency. Practice frequency. So in human terms, have 3 or 4 things that lift your heart easily. It could be a song, it could be a picture, it could be a poem, it could be a scripture. So we all have a few things that just lifts our heart, right? That feeling of joy or peace or whatever. Just have 3 or 4 things. Start your day by lifting your frequency. So if it's a prayer, if it's a song, it's a picture of a baby's face, whatever does it for you. Lift your heart, know that you're raising frequency. You start to feel sacred frequency, and then do your best now to walk out in the world and hold that frequency. Now, when you first start, it might last about 20 seconds. You walk out your door and you find, you know, the paper boy threw the paper on the bushes again, and you're just instantly aggravated.
Yeah.
But then if you remember, raise the frequency back up again and try to hold it through the day as long as you can, right? And at first it'll just be minutes, and then after a while it'll be hours, and then pretty soon you'll get through a whole day with a pretty high frequency. And the beauty of the high frequency is it's joyful. It's joyful. It's happy, right? You feel joyful, happy, peace. So it's actually not a difficult task. You start to, it's like, I like feeling more peaceful, more happy, more joyful, right? So you just practice holding it longer and longer. And it's like building a muscle. You don't walk into the gym on your first day and try to bench 500 pounds. It's not possible, right? So you don't try to get through your whole day, or try, but don't be disappointing yourself if you fail a million times. But it's not a failure as long as you pick yourself back up. Let's just say it's a picture or a phrase. You can write it on a piece of paper and put it in your pocket. And this is what I did in the beginning, right? I had a phrase. For me, a really powerful phrase is be still and know that I am God. When I say that a few times, I feel the stillness. So I would say it a few times, feel the stillness, and go back to work. And then when somebody would knock me right out of it, I'd pull it back out again, do it a few times, feel that peace come back. And just so if it was medicine, it's this prescription would be take as needed, right? So you take it as needed. And in the beginning, to cure that illness, you might have to take it 50 times a day. But after a while, you start developing neurons and brain patterns that it starts becoming more and more natural till finally it becomes your default position. So someone can knock you out of that and boom, your subconscious pulls you right back in because it say, yeah, I know how much you like this. Let's go back to being happy. Okay, good, great. So that's how you start. You just start with that. And one of the ways to me then connect it to the world is just spend a few minutes looking around and go, oh my God, this tree is part of God. This person is a part of God. That dog's a part of God. It's all a part of God, right? And hence a part of me. And that, just do it even a 5 minutes a day of just looking around and just telling yourself that. And just after a while, at first it's like, yeah, right. But after a while, it starts to feel like, you know what, I kind of feel there's some truth to that. And then after a while, it starts to feel very true till finally you just feel that connectedness.
That's good. Well, I know you got to go.
Got to
So
run.
we'll hear to hear. Thank you so much for your time again.
Thank you.
All right, brother.
Bye-bye.
Oh, hold on. Hold on.